Everybody, welcome to another weekly craft for summer reading. This week, we're going to make a tin can luminary. I know, I hear you saying, didn't you just make a glass luminary? I say, yes. I think that one's prettier, but I think this one's a lot more fun to make because you get to use a hammer. You have your choice of nail sizes, or I even have a screw here. I figure if I really needed a big hole, that would be the way to go. Um, And you will need a template. Mine got broken because I used it. Um, Basically, what we're going to do, we're going to build a little cradle for this. First, you fill your can with water and freeze it. Let it freeze overnight. If you don't let it freeze overnight, you're going to have the problem I had twice where the nails went in and the water came out. You don't want that. Unless you're doing this outside, in which case, that could actually be a lot of fun. Different size nails for different size holes. You can see I have little tiny baby holes as the strawberry seeds and bigger holes as the outline. I will say with the soup can, one of the problems I had, and you'll hear me say this, is lining stuff up exactly on the ridges of the can be a little tricky. Be patient with yourself, but also remember this is going to be very cold. Your hands are going to get cold, okay? Um, just do your best. This isn't perfectly round. I could come back in and try to round that out a little bit and make it a little bit more uniform. And I could do multiple pieces of fruit all the way around. This adhesive, easy to take off with some Goo Gone and some hot water. You could also put some peanut butter on it, which I know sounds counterintuitive. But the oil and the peanut butter will saturate the glue, make it stick less to the can, and then you can wipe it all away. Hot water also helps with this. We're going to go ahead and move forward, but I wanted to see this is what we're going to make today. If you have any questions, please feel free to come in at any time. Anyway, let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make a little stand for our can frozen water. Yes, the water needs to be frozen. If it is not, then your can is going to collapse under the tapping. While it doesn't take a lot of energy to get through the can, it does take enough that it will uh, break and your water will go everywhere. So be sure that it is frozen solid. That's why I say if you can freeze it overnight, awesome. First thing I'm going to do is take 2 hand towels, roll them up, take a third towel, and drape it between. I'm going to check and see where there's glue. To get rid of the glue, you can use Goo Gone. I'm going to put that guy right in there. Take my template. And yes, it is going to sweat. Your paper is going to get wet. That is okay. And tape this guy on here. I decided I wanted to do a strawberry for summer. I don't know why. Seemed like a good idea. And of course, my tape doesn't really want to stick because this is very wet, but we're going to do our best. Now, the nice thing about having a bigger can is you'd be able to do multiple patterns on it instead of just one. I have a screw and a nail and a little baby tiny tack nail. Okay, I'm actually going to start with the medium nail. It just depends on how big you want your holes to be. Okay, now I'm going to come back later and put the seeds in with a little tiny baby nail. But this is super easy. It's not actually very hard. I put the nail here, and you can kind of feel when it goes through the can. You want your holes to be relatively close together. And if your can starts to melt, you can always put it back in the freezer for a little bit. One thing you want to be sure is when you are preparing your can for this, you want to be sure that there's not a sharp edge around the top, especially if you've used a traditional can opener that sometimes leaves a little wiggle of metal at the top. I have cut myself on those more times than I care to think. See, it's super easy. Just a little tap, tap, tap. There we go. And then I'm going to go around. Oops. The more the merrier. Oops. Sometimes it goes all the way through. So my holes are not going to be uniform. Okay. This might be a good project to practice with. The more you do it, the easier it's going to be, the more uniform your designs will be. You can also, if you don't want to have it full of ice, you can use a drill. I would recommend practicing with the drill too, and maybe doing some research to see how the drill bits, which ones would work best for this. Hands aren't super substantial. As you see, I'm just easily poking holes. And the nice thing about this, as opposed to doing some other art projects, is I can actually get my holes pretty close to each other. There are also different shapes you can use. On some of the things that I pinned on our Pinterest board, you'll see you could use a chisel to make lines. You could do lots of stuff. There are lots of options. And like I said, we do have a Pinterest board under Summer Reading 2023 or SRP 2023. Ooh, sometimes that nail gets stuck in that ice. That's the only bad part about this. Your hands will be cold, so if you are prone to cold hands, you might want to get a glove. You can use any outline. You could even just draw something. You could freehand. There are some really great examples where they did a whole lot of holes at the bottom and then fewer and fewer and fewer, so it looked kind of like a bonfire. See, sometimes those nails get stuck. All right, and then we want to come across the top. Only problem with the soup can is it is a wavy texture, so I can feel with my nail places where it doesn't really want to settle because it's trying to be on top of a ridge. But you can use any can for this. We've included a soup can, but you can use anything you've got around the house. I will say, so I started this once today with a a mushroom can, so it was about half the size, and it was going to be super cute. And then what happened? The ice wasn't solidly frozen, water everywhere. See, and now we've got little tiny seed holes. Oops. Ugh. And my fingers are getting cold, so I'm starting to. Okay, we're about finished. I have 3 more lip holes to do. Another thing you can do once you're finished poking all your holes, don't hit your thumb like I just did. Don't worry, there wasn't any power behind it. May or may not have gone through. You can take it out and spray paint it, whatever color is going to go with your outside decor. All right. Now I can see that's a little bent. Once I get all the ice out of here, I can turn it over and I can tap. Oh, see, it wasn't completely solid. I can tap a little bit and make it round again, and then it's all ready for spray painting, or other decorating. Okay? Be right back in a moment to show you what it looks like all illuminated. Okay, and as you can see, it actually turned out pretty well. Yeah, some of my holes are a little bit big. That's okay with practice. It could be perfect. But there's my little strawberry can. You could color this with regular Sharpies, or you could just leave it as a tin can, or spray paint. Spray paint would be super easy and quick, and then I would probably also cover it in glitter, but I love glitter. So everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. We've got 2 more weeks of crafts to go. Have a good one. Bye.